Join me today for part 2 of how to get into collecting Lego sets. Today we're going to cover the financial side of things. Welcome to the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bob. This is going to be part 2 of how to get started in Lego collecting as far as the collecting sets. Part 1 will be linked to in the description, so if you haven't seen that yet, check that out. That dealt a lot more with some of the ins and outs of what some of the sets are and some differentiation between things. This is going to be talking about the money side, which could be a standalone, but it's going to make more sense if you see part 1. So, we're going to try to, this is going to be a shorter video, I hope, that I'm going to try to break up into a couple general topics. So, we'll start with topic 1, where to buy them. Now, as I mentioned in the other movie, we're in the U.S., which I'm assuming my accent or lack thereof gives away. But some of this will apply outside of the U.S., but it's mainly going to be covering the U.S. So I don't really know how to. It would take quite a bit of research for this to be comprehensive outside the U.S. Some of the same general ideas will apply, just like the specific stores might not. So you have a number of retail outlets, like in the U.S. you have Walmart and Target primarily. Used to have Kmart and Toys R Us. I hear Toys R Us is making a comeback, so we'll see on that. Then you also have the Lego stores themselves. And depending on where you live, larger cities, there have been like independent Lego stores have sprung up because people have noticed the increasing financial value of Lego sets over time. So you have those options for a physical location. Then all those places have websites, along with Amazon and probably a whole host of others that I don't know about. And you'll also find them occasionally in places like TJ Maxx, Ross, maybe Ollie's. I haven't seen any at Ollie's personally, but I also had not seen any at Ross until like 2 weeks ago. So you never know. Just don't expect to find them there. You're primarily looking, like I said, if you're going to buy them at retail, that's where you're primarily looking. And like I said, they all have physical storefronts and websites. And then there's eBay, obviously, and Facebook Marketplace, and was it Mercari? Uh, I don't know if you can sell them on Etsy, because you didn't make them yourself, so I don't think you can. But I'm not an Etsy seller, so I don't know for sure on that one. Then also the other real big one is Bricklink. So Bricklink it's bricklink.com, and I will try to put a link to that in the description. Bricklink is a site dedicated entirely to buying and selling Lego sets, parts, instruction booklets, boxes, whatever. And I sell on there myself and occasionally buy on there. And it's a godsend for a lot of things. So that's primarily where you're going to be looking. Now, then the important part is for some of them, is when to look. So, right after Christmas, Walmart will clearance Lego sets. It depends on your store. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into it. Like, for instance, there's a smaller one near where we live. And so, if there's any of the really large Lego sets left that take up a lot of shelf space, they're highly likely to be clearanced because there's only so much space for the large sets. So if there's any left, they've got to go so the new ones can be put in. And if it's part of an after Christmas clearance, it could be 50% off right off the bat. Or it could be 25%. It just depends on how they do it. Which that's very hit and miss. At this point in time, 25% off is actually a pretty good deal. because most of the sales don't go below 25%. Now you'll get one-offs. You'll get something that's like 35%, or like I think at the moment, or at least last few days, I haven't seen if it's still active, and it might not be by the time you folks hear this. From this on November 3rd, by the way, for reference, 2023. The Lego Treehouse is at nearly 50% off on Amazon, and that's unheard of. Big set like that. So you have right after Christmas, and then it's just a few other times of the year. Just keep an eye out at your Walmarts. If one of them, like if you're near several, if one of them has clearance on Lego sets, the others will too. And again, it's hit and miss as far as what sets they clearance at a Walmart. Some of them it's chain wide. They say clearance them out, get rid of them. Others, it's up to the store itself. In which case, they've got a budget for clearance and certain things like that. You probably won't see anything decent hit 75% off. You could, but it's unlikely. If you see it at 50% off and you want it, you should buy it. That's just across the board, 25%, you might be able to hold out. And also there are sales randomly, and this is Walmart is far better at this than Target. Target clearances items a lot faster, but I've noticed, at least at the Target I go to a lot, they are very reluctant to clearance Lego sets. I came across one in there the other day from 2022, and there's 1 month left in 2023. Well, month and a half. Like, that set should be on clearance. That's an old set. There's one of them. It's just sitting on a random shelf end cap. That set should be on clearance. But Target is very wonky. Target does not have a mandate from corporate that this has to happen now, at least as near as I can tell. And they have to manually go in and change the prices. Because I noticed this with the recent Marvel Legends clearance, where they cleared out everything they had. And it instantly went to 50% off. But then the steps after that, like, there were some figures that are in the same wave where one would be 25%, one would be 50%, one would be 75%. There's no rhyme or reason at all to that. It should have they're all contemporary figures. They should have all been the same thing. And, yeah, it stopped me from buying several of them because it's like, this is stupid. I want them at least 50% off. The ones that are 25, I'm not going to buy them because I can get that on Amazon if I'm patient. So, a little pro tip for Marvel Legends figures. I'm going to do a whole video on them at some point too. Anyway, so you've got that. Target will have sales though, which Walmart typically does not. What Walmart does is whenever Amazon puts something on sale like that, like right now the Lego TIE Bomber is $52 on rollback at Walmart because it's $52 on Amazon. So as long as it's $52 on Amazon, it will probably be $52 at Walmart or on Walmart.com. So that's where Walmart kind of, they play the game with Amazon. I don't know if they do with Target or not. And then Target will just randomly have things on sale. Target, I think you get points for your membership card if you've got one. But most of their sales, like general toy sales, will not include Lego sets. So, like right now, they've got a thing, as long as you have their app, this is good through the 7th, maybe, which hopefully this video will be up by then, but you never know, that you get 25% off one toy item. Well, there's a huge list of exclusions. One of the exclusions is Lego sets. So, that's a no-go there. But they do put sets on sale, like this week that I'm video recording this, but not before you guys see this probably. They have the TIE Bomber on sale for $51.99. So yeah, you get little things like that. But the jackpot is clearance. But the huge caveat is there have to still be sets on the shelf when it hits those magic moments, and this is all typically at Walmart, to get the clearance. And that's basically right after Christmas. And then there's one or two other kind of random times, unless it's a seasonal set. If it's one specifically for a season, once the season is over, they should go on clearance. I emphasize should, because at one Walmart near me, there were still bunny rabbit sets, Easter bunny rabbit sets, by Christmas from the previous Easter. So at full price. So I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Now in the past, you could count on Toys R Us to have buy two get one free sales, which is 33% off if you buy three sets at the same price, which is easiest to do if you just buy three of the same set. Which is someone who builds castle stuff, that's easy. I just buy the big castles, so I have all the parts. It works for me. If you're someone that wants just one of each of the sets, it's a little less useful. Plus, Toys R Us is no longer in existence, so it's a lot less useful. But in general, you're looking at rollbacks at Walmart, random sales at Target, which increase as you get closer to Christmas, and sales on Amazon, which who the hell knows why they do what they do over there. I don't. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Except for Prime Day days, there you'll see, concentrated effort. It'll be a shotgun approach to what all they hit. So, going with that, Black Friday is a time to look out for Lego sets on sale. Walmart this year already has the listings. If you're a member of Walmart Plus, already has, I think you can buy them right now or very shortly you're going to be able to for the first part of their Black Friday sale. Most of the sets this year are Technic sets, but there's also going to be a giant box of just bricks, like I mentioned, the big creator boxes that they don't normally carry in the stores. They get them just for the Black Friday event, and it's I don't know. I want to say this year it's like a 1,500 piece set, maybe. Don't quote me on that. And it's going to be like $30. That's huge as far as the price to part ratio. So that's definitely something to look out for. They won't be the only one running Black Friday sales, and then there'll be sales before Christmas, but probably not like the week of Christmas. They tend to taper off about a week or two before Christmas. And then Lego, their website, thelegoshop.com, and I believe most of these are also valid in stores. They have promo items for various seasons. So, when it's near Easter, there'll be Easter promos. There's Halloween and fall promos, Christmas promos. They have just a normal monthly promo, and they're all based on spend X number of dollars, get this thing. Then they will also have a Black Friday sale, and they have a pre-Black Friday sale for members of the Lego Club, which is free to join. So you should definitely join it. You should definitely join it. There's no caveat to that. You should just do it. And so you have those things. I want to say this year is a remake of Majesto's Workshop from 1991 or so, somewhere back in time there. So that's it looks like an interesting little set. And, you want to keep an eye on things like that, which I'm going to explain in a moment where you keep track of things like that. Now, Bricklink doesn't really have holiday sales, because Bricklink is individual sellers, people like me. Unless I'm going to be in the Christmas spirit or something, I'm not going to put Christmas, there's not going to be a discount during Christmas. Price is the price. So that's a little bit different. I should just do a whole video on Bricklink, which I probably will, and show you how to navigate the site, because there's a lot of ins and outs to it that for a beginner, you won't know what you're getting into. So that kind of covers the win. Look for around Black Friday, around Christmas, after Christmas. Those are the big clearance and sale times. Then you'll have sporadic sales throughout the year, and you'll have certain seasonal things like I said, around Easter is a big one, Halloween's a big one. So you'll have those, and Lego on their site will occasionally put sets on sale. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And Amazon just randomly puts things on sale all the time. And sometimes Walmart matches them a lot of the time. So that covers a lot of the win. And that also kind of covers as far as that. Now, promos and stuff like that, not so much the pricing, but the when you need to buy them to get them, that's also pretty much in line with that. The big times are Halloween, Christmas, Easter, a little bit for fall, and they've started doing things around New Year's and the early part of the year for Chinese holidays. And then, of course, they also do things that only are in certain parts of the world. Now, all that is through Lego.com, through their shop. They're the ones that make all these promos. So Be on the lookout for then. Now, some places like Walmart will carry like an Easter set or a Christmas set, and Target and Walmart are also selling more of the high-end sets. Like I've seen the Christmas sets from like the Christmas Village that I talked about in the first video. I've seen those show up at Target before, so I expect further ones are going to be showing up there as well. Those will be mainly around Christmas. They'll cycle through them, and they won't clearance them, but they just won't order more of them. So you got things like that. Side note on Target, they do occasionally run a special where it's like if you spend X number of dollars on Lego sets, we'll give you a gift card. Now, for some of you, it's crystal clear what I just said. But for others, I need to be very clear. That is not the same as a discount. A discount is you spend less money. This is for spending the same amount of money you are going to spend, we're giving you a future discount. So you are still having to pay full price out of pocket or on your card or whatever, or a future discount on something else, not a discount on the item you're buying right now, because they never run those things concurrently, where there's a sets on sale, and if it's you buy so much, you get a card, you get a gift card, or if they do, it's very rare. So just keep that in mind. Now, for older sets, things that aren't available at retail, your primary options are eBay and Bricklink, and you can find some of them on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist maybe. There's sporadic other places, but those are the two main places to go. I would check Bricklink first. The prices are going to be lower than what's on eBay. Now, you will have to pay shipping independent of the price that you see unless they put free shipping, because that's the price of the set. You buy it, then they send you an invoice that includes the shipping. It's one of those little ins and outs of Bricklink. But Bricklink is a dedicated Lego site. You're not having to sift through a bunch of other crap. There's not going to be any mega blocks or anything else in there with it. So that's one thing to definitely consider. Also, it's cheaper. The people that sell on there are paying less to sell on there. It's like, I think it's less than 5% still, as far as what you pay for what you as a seller pay to Bricklink of your sale. Whereas on eBay, it could be 11 to 12% plus the 30 cents for the listing. And if you promoted the listing, then that's going to be another how or whatever percent you go with on that. You could, and you're going to put it for free shipping if you plan on selling it. So you could be 30 to 40% of what you sell it for on eBay is just going to evaporate into shipping and eBay fees. But that's not going to happen on Bricklink. And because of that, there's downward pressure on the pricing, because you as a seller, if I'm getting 95% of it, I can afford to sell it for less money than I have to sell it for on eBay to make money. So, just some economics of it there to consider. So, that does bring up one other thing. If you're buying these to resell them, you definitely want to maximize your discounts. You want to maximize the free stuff you get. So those two things can be totally divergent, because you just don't get the sales you normally get through Lego because they just don't put stuff on sale very often. So if you want the cheaper price, you probably have to go through a Walmart or Target, Amazon, something like that. But if you want the free stuff, you've got to go through Lego. Now, around Black Friday is when those interests converge, because they do put things on sale, and you're going to get the promo stuff. Then the other big time, specifically for Star Wars Lego, is May the 4th. Because if you're a Star Wars fan, and some have never heard of this, is the whole May the 4th be with you. It's kind of like May the Force be with you. May the 4th. I don't know. I think concept's mildly stupid myself, but it is what it is. And then of course that's followed by Revenge of the 5th. Since if you didn't see that pun coming, there it is. So that's when Star Wars Lego sets specifically will go on sale. And they sometimes throw in other crap that's on sale, but there will be promos if you spend so much on Star Wars Lego sets at that point, and they will be on sale. And that'll usually be like older sets that they've got laying around in quantities. And a lot of times the free thing is a figure that they're not going to put in another set. Like Darth Maul, it's like the training Darth Maul, so he's doesn't have a shirt on his torso and instead has the tattoos. Darth Revan, we never got a figure in a regular set. Uh, Admiral Yularen, just figures like that. So that's the other point where that will all converge. And in like Black Friday, they'll usually put the Christmas set from 2 years ago, if they still have them in stock, on sale, and it'd be 25 to 50% off, which is the best you're going to hope for because Target's like the only store that carries it other than them. So these aren't on Amazon, or I mean, they could be from a third party seller. Uh, so this is like the time these sets will be on sale, and that's kind of the other thing is there's a lot of these sets, not a lot, there's a number of these sets that are only available through Lego, other than third-party sellers on other sites who are obviously wanting to make money, so you're going to be paying above normal price for them. And so they're the only people who can put them on sale. So sales are rare, but when they do happen, it's the only sale that's going to happen in all likelihood. So that's something you definitely need to consider, if you're jumping into this. Otherwise, that's a lot of the money part. As I mentioned in the other video, if you want to know if you're getting a good deal, if you're paying more than 10 cents per piece, you got to look at the other factors in the equation to see if you're making a wise purchase. Like, are there base plates in the set? Are there a bunch of minifigures in the set that's driving the price up? Are there cloth elements like actual flags or something for a castle or a pirate ship? Are there large hull pieces for the pirate ship? Are there tracks for a train plus all the electronics to make it work? There's a bunch of other things that really drive up the price quickly, so that you can be buying like a train. It's usually like a 500 or 600 piece set, but you're going to be paying $150 for it because you're getting the tracks, you're getting the controller, you're getting the engine for the train. You're getting a bunch of other stuff. So those are things you got to take into consideration. Also, you have the sets, like there's a set at Walmart, with 1,800 pieces, that's $50. That's a steal, but know that there's no figures in it. Those base plates are going to be small base plates. There's no like train parts, there's no light up parts, none of that. At least I don't think so. There might be one light up brick. I'd have to look at the picture again. But you're getting a whole bunch of really small parts and like a scatter shot of colors, and it's debatable how much that's actually going to be useful to you if you already have a bunch of parts laying around. This is like buying for the kid that just wants to build, just wants to free build. That's what or the adult, sorry, wants to do that. Or if you just need mass. Because like if you're building like a big building or a big castle or something, you're never going to see the interior. So you can use just zany colors on the interior as long as you got the correct colors for the outside. And that brings us to Bricklink just in general. This is its own little topic here. Bricklink is excellent for buying older sets, older parts, because there are some parts that are no longer in production, parts in colors that you can't easily get, or buying massive numbers of parts. Because I have definitely gone on there before and bought like 1,000 of the same part. And it's not an exaggeration, 1,000. Now that's tiny parts, which if we ever get around to talking about some of the castle stuff, I might do some videos just showing you how to use some of these pieces to build certain architectural things. And you'll figure out real quick why I would want 1,000 of that part or 500 of this part. And the lowest you can charge is a penny. And I have bought 1,000 of some piece at 1 cent a piece, so it cost me $10 plus shipping. I mean, you're not going to get that in anything else. So plus they're all the color that I need. And you can also buy in bulk from Lego directly, but the prices are almost always going to be better on Bricklink. Now, the exception to that is that there are parts from really expensive sets that will be much cheaper on Lego's site because they're the ones making them. They're not trying to sell them at a jacked up rate for a huge profit, even though they could, because on the secondary market, like there's parts, like there's a $400 castle set right now. There's certain torso prints and flags and everything that are only in that set. Okay, so you can buy them on Lego's site if you get them right as they put them up. And then, in theory, you could probably flip them for twice what you, or 3 times what you're paying for them, because the only other option is to buy the $400 set. People don't want to do that. So if for some reason they don't want to order through Lego, or like Lego's out of stock at that point, because they do run out of stock, obviously. So you can do things like that. But I do it as in the, I'm going to buy it cheaper, I'm going to use it somewhere. So you have things like that. The major drawback to Bricklink is it's not as intuitive as it probably could be. And like I said, I'm going to do a whole video on that topic at some point where I go through and explain certain things. But like you need to figure out the names of the parts for that to be effective. Like you need to know what a brick is or versus a plate, things like that. Slope or reverse slope. There's a bunch of terminology that you need to learn as you're using the site. But it allows you to search by country where it's going to be shipped from. You can search individual parts by color. You can get whole minifigures, minifigure parts, sets, accessories, weapons, instruction booklets, boxes, whatever. If it's Lego related, it is probably on there. And if it's not, you have somehow found like the one in a million thing that's not. And best of all, like I said, it's all Lego stuff. It's not Mega Bloks, it's not any of the others. So yeah, that's a big chunk of the financial side of it. And if you're wanting to resell, again, Bricklink is where I would go to resell. You'll get more money from eBay, but you're going to be burning through a lot of that money to cover eBay's fees and shipping and everything else. So I think, the last time I looked, you're still definitely clearing more money going through Bricklink. And so if you're looking on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and you want to know the actual value of what you're looking at, assuming it's complete, that's a very major assumption here, then I would check Bricklink. That's a more accurate value in my opinion. Because again, you've got all the fees that you're going to lump into anyway. Now, somehow, if you can, okay, now let's say in some hypothetical scenario, something costs $150 on Bricklink and costs $300 on eBay. Now, in that scenario, that would be worth considering. Because even after all the fees, you're probably still above the 150. But remember, all the fees scale, they're percentages, not dollar amounts. Yeah, then, one other thing to kind of talk about is we've mentioned exclusives in the other, and I just want to reiterate here, certain stores will get exclusive sets, which means that unless they put that set on sale, or unless Lego themselves put that set on sale, because Lego will also carry it, because they make it, for the most part. Now, the current, like, 2-in-1 and 3-in-1 sets that are at Walmart are only at Walmart as far as I know. I don't think Lego themselves is actually carrying those, because the box itself says only at Walmart. So that's something to consider. So unless Walmart puts those on sale, which they probably won't because that's a dynamite deal already on all those, then they're not going to be on sale anyplace else. Things like that. From a reseller perspective, those things have an enhanced value beyond what's in them because it's a different configuration than was available elsewhere. And there's people that care about that. A lot of those like 2-in-1, 3-in-1 sets have an outsized value later on down the road compared to the actual contents purely because they're in the 2-in-1, 3-in-1 box, even though it's the same exact contents. So that's a packaging thing. Don't understand it myself, but there it is. Now, occasionally you'll get sets that have like, oh, it's this set and this set, and then this other exclusive thing that doesn't exist in another set. That happened with, like, I think it was a set of TIE fighters, where it was like a TIE fighter, a TIE interceptor, and Darth Vader's TIE fighter, but then there was also like a TIE drone. The drone was never a set outside of that. So that was the only place you could get it. Assuming, now if you just want to build it, you'd get the instructions online and build it that way, which is one of the things to kind of consider. If you're buying these to build and you want to use the parts and everything, you can just get the instructions. I think there used to be a moratorium of like 2 years or 3 years after they were released before Lego would put those instructions up and allow other people to put the instructions up. But once they're up, you've got the whole things. You go to the part index at the back and you just buy all the parts if you don't have them, and then go through the instructions like a PDF and put them together. So that's an option to consider. But yeah, and then there's the also going to like AliExpress, where you're probably going to be getting a knockoff, but it's going to be significantly cheaper. Probably going to hold together. Jim's bought a few of them, and I believe the Brick Bank here is one of them. He's bought a few of them, and they all seem to work just fine. So, just as long as, like, for me, if I were to do that, I just make absolutely certain the pieces never mixed in case I wanted to sell the pieces later, or for whatever reason, I don't like them mixing. So, but I would still buy them, like, if I just want to put them up on display and it's something that's out of print, especially if it's out of print. But even if it's not, you probably still get it cheaper that way. So that's something to consider, because or if you've got kids, because at the end of the day, these are toys. So that offers an avenue where people that don't necessarily have that money to spend but want to buy something nice for their kids can do that. So that's something to consider. And I think AliExpress is the main one. And then there's also sets on AliExpress that Lego didn't make. There's just other stuff on there. There's a lot of castle stuff that Lego didn't make. There's a bunch of Lord of the Rings stuff that Lego didn't make. Lord of the Rings has the license. I'm just saying they didn't make those particular sets. But yeah, unless I'm just completely spacing something, that is most of the financial side of this. Well, other than the obvious, if you're going to sell them, I wouldn't try to immediately flip them. I would give them time because the value escalates. Like I've come across things in my collection that I bought to sell, and it just sits there for a couple years, and the next thing I know, it's worth 5 times what I paid for it. The absolute largest increase in terms of percentages that I've had was, I don't know, 10,000%. Yeah, I believe so. Now that sounds really impressive, but it's something I got for a penny and was able to sell. No, it's even higher than that. Bought it for a penny and was able to sell it for $7, $8. Some promo that Toys R Us had. Some guy went into one, saw they had them, and asked them about them. They rang up for a penny. So I called the nearest Toys R Us and I asked if they had any of them, and they said yes. And I said, "Hold them. I'll be there in an hour and a half." Drove down there. They verified they were a penny, and I was like, "I'll take all of them you have. Don't care how many it actually is." Ended up being like 7, but still. And they had more, would have bought them because they're a penny. So it cost me 7 cents. I ended up making $50, $60 off of it. So it was a worthwhile exchange. Paid for the gas and then some. And, I've sold other promos. Like I mentioned, a Darth Revan mini that I got for spending some money at Lego that's going to do anyway. Sold it for 300 some odd dollars. Some of these things were just worth ludicrous amounts of money. There's a whole deal with that I'm not going to get into in this video. If we want to talk about reselling, there are definitely certain sets that will be worth more than others down the road. There's a whole, it's as much art as science, but it's definitely another video we'll do at some point. It'll be probably much shorter. I think if this one's already probably run longer than I wanted it to. Sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled video here, but during editing, I realized that there's a handful of things. There were 2 things I need to mention, and a third happened like right after we recorded the video. So depending on when this goes up, I need to put a disclaimer in here about it. So very briefly, after talking about all this, like, hey, check here for deals and check here for other deals, I forgot to mention that there's a site that will keep you up to date on most Lego deals. It's Toys in, like the letter, not and, bricks, and I think it's just toysandbricks.com, but I'll put the link in the description. Just check it periodically, or I think they have a way to actually have you get updates directly, but it covers the US and Canada primarily, although it will mention other countries because sometimes what happens there also happens in the US. And they also talk about like new sets that are coming out and what promos there are this month through Lego and things like that. But they cover a lot of the sales and most of the Lego news. So it's kind of like your one-stop shop. There are other sites that also cover news that get a little bit before Toys and Bricks, but they've got their thumb on the pulse as far as the deals and stuff. So definitely check them out to go along with all the other information I gave you. Also, I forgot to mention that Bricklink, which I will mention in the video that you're watching, is owned by Lego. Now, that wasn't always the case. It was originally started by one guy, and he, and this was years and years ago. I'd have to look up and see how long Bricklink's been active. At least, I believe it's over 20 years. So it's been there for a while. I believe it went back into the early 90s. But I could be mistaken on that. It might be early 2000s. Anyway, unfortunately, the gentleman who started it passed away several years ago, and then a couple other folks took it over, and ultimately the Lego group now controls it. So there's that, which does mean that they do work closer with them. So there are periodically Bricklink exclusive sets. They're designed by people in a contest, then Lego makes certain number of the entries, certain number of the winners, and you have to pre-order the sets, and they sell out pretty quickly. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. It's kind of hard to you got to stay on top of that if you're going to do that. But the rest of Bricklink, no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. But it is owned by Lego, so that's just something to keep in mind. And then the event is apparently Bricklink has been hacked. As of my recording this, I believe it is still offline. So they are trying to isolate the vulnerability, presumably make sure there are no other vulnerabilities. So if you see this video and you go to Bricklink and you get what's probably going to be a picture of Darth Vader and a Stormtrooper in a comment saying that Stormtrooper is not a maintenance man, then it is still down because of the hack. So just check back. But this is, as far as I'm aware, this is the only major one of these that's ever happened to them. I don't know what, if anything, was taken or destroyed or what have you. So at least as of right now, even though Bricklink is a super awesome source, it is super not running right now. So anyway, those are the three little things I needed to mention. Just before I put this video out. This is several days after I recorded the other video, but hopefully it will be up in the next couple days now. From today is the 7th. Yeah, today's November 7th. So if you're watching this in some distant date in the future, the whole thing with the hack is probably a distant memory. Hopefully it's a distant memory. But if not, well, I guess you probably wrote off Bricklink a while ago. I am also going to record a third video in this series because also while I was editing, I realized that while I talk a great deal about when to find deals, where to look for specific stuff and things like that, I didn't really talk at all about what you should consider looking for when it comes to reselling. And that is a video unto itself. That will not be actual legitimate financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And do not take anything I give you in that video as financial advice, as I will be very clear in the disclaimer at the very beginning. I will explain what has worked for me in the past, but past performance is no guarantee of future performance. So, all that usual gobbledygook. So now, returning you to your regularly scheduled program. And yeah, so anyway, that's about it for this one. So if you folks have any questions or comments, leave them down there. We'll definitely try to answer them. Might end up being in the podcast for a future episode. We'll see. If any of this is helpful, let me know. I always appreciate thumbs up, subscriptions, and all that fun stuff. It's YouTube. You know how it goes. But until then, just keep on bricking.